In Sonic Frontiers, if you go far back enough from Giganto, he will stop moving. All right, looks like step 1 is to get to the top of Giganto. There he is. Go ahead and get the Chaos Emerald. Go Super Sonic, and let's see if this actually works. You know, we're gonna go back here, and we get to listen to Undefeatable, which is the best part about this, but it seems like it's true. If you just stay back here, Giganto will just stare at you the entire time. So yeah, that's a pretty cool fact. Did you know that Blaze the Cat has an official Sonic Advance style sprite? The Sonic Advance sprite is one of the most iconic designs for Sonic of all time, especially if you grew up on the internet in the 2000s. Hello, Super Mario Bros. Z, anyone? This style of sprite was featured in the Sonic Advance games, but guess who was not in the Sonic Advance games? That's right, Blaze the Cat, but this didn't stop Sega from actually creating an official sprite for that art style for this specific character. Blaze the Cat's first appearance in the Sonic franchise was Sonic Rush, where they opted for 3D models rather than traditional 2D sprites. However, if you beat Sonic Rush and make it to the credits in Blaze's story, for whatever reason in the credits of the game, they created a 2D Sonic Advance style sprite for Blaze. So while she was never in the Advance games, if she was ever to be in them, this is exactly what she would have looked like. As a matter of fact, they did the same thing for Sonic in his credits, where he's running away from Amy and they're both in their Advance style artwork sprites. Sonic Racing Cross Worlds is actually canon. So recently we got a trailer for Sonic Racing Cross Worlds DLC, which features 2 characters from the IDW comics, Tangle and Whisper. But we recently just discovered that Racing Cross Worlds is canon because of this. The reason being is that somebody tweeted at the Sonic lore manager and said, not really that it's important, but do you think that these 2 were canonically invited to Cross Worlds Grand Prix, or are they just under the umbrella of bonus non-canonical additions like the rest of the DLC characters? To which the lore manager of Sonic said that they are as canon as the other Sonic characters, which 1 confirms Tangle and Whisper are canon, and 2 confirms that Sonic Racing Cross Worlds is canon. The game Baldi's Basics was based off of Sonic's Schoolhouse. Baldi's Basics in Education and Learning is a 2018 puzzle horror game disguised as an educational game. You might notice by looking at the aesthetic of that game, it looks extremely similar to the most popular and greatest video game of all time, Sonic's Schoolhouse. And that's because it is. Not only taking a look at some of the aesthetics of the game, but if you look at side-by-side images of both games, you can see that the inspiration is certainly there. The creator of the game listed Sonic's Schoolhouse as one of his inspirations. The game was mainly meant as a parody of those early 90s educational games and the unsettling feeling that he would feel when playing them.
Hi there, I'm Sonic the Hedgehog. You're going to play in my schoolhouse. If you've ever got a problem, find me and I'll help.
Okay, maybe the creator of Baldi's Basics was definitely onto something with this one. Prior to the release of Sonic 06, an early script as well as character write-ups were leaked, and it revealed Sonic Team's Dragon Ball Z influence. It goes without saying that Sonic 06 is definitely the most infamous Sonic game of all time, and this was the debut game of Silver the Hedgehog. One of the early character bios for Silver the Hedgehog leaked out, and what it said was pretty interesting. In addition to an early concept of what Silver looked like, which was slightly different than his final design, it said, Silver is a young male hedgehog who has traveled through time to change a ruined future. Despite coming from such a grim world, he is very forthright and is focused on restoring peace to the world. He's also able to get riled up, and this time around, he's going after Mephiles. He possesses some special powers which can draw upon the emeralds. It is unknown how he got these powers though. Essentially, think Trunks from Dragon Ball Z. Not that Sega's influence from Dragon Ball Z is very obscure, but it is pretty interesting to see them just come outright and say it. Early concept art for Sonic Frontiers shows Giganto being built on Chaos Island. So in Sonic Frontiers on Chaos Island, obviously the boss that you fight is Knight, and throughout no point in the game do you actually see Giganto in Chaos Island, but in concept art that didn't stop him from appearing there. If you haven't had a chance to take a look at Frontiers concept art, it is truly breathtaking. Some of the visuals that they had for the game look extremely exciting. I think my favorite is probably this shot of Kronos Island. It looks absolutely stunning. It even produces an extremely terrifying visual of Giganto. But I think the coolest one that they created was the Chaos Island one. The art style here looks a lot more lively, but if you look in the background, you'll see Giganto actually being constructed. And if you look at Sonic's model, it kind of looks like it was inspired by the 06 model with the longer quills, but obviously they ended up going with the Forces model. Gerald Robotnik's render in Sonic and Shadow Generations was inspired by his concept art from Sonic Adventure 2. During the release hype for Sonic and Shadow Generations, I think it was extremely shocking to see that Maria and Gerald Robotnik were going to be featured in the game, bringing up Shadow's traumatic past, and having Shadow actually face it head on. So if you take a look at the official render for Gerald Robotnik, he's he's doing this weird little pose, but if you look at the concept art for his creation in Sonic Adventure 2, this is the pose that he's doing, and this is what he was originally supposed to look like. It looks a little more Eggman-y, if that's even a word, and I almost kind of like how this looks better, but let's move on to the next one. In Sonic Racing Cross Worlds, Tangle the Lemur has a pose that references IDW cover art. So, as discussed earlier in the video, in February 2026, Tangle the Lemur and Whisper are coming to Sonic Racing Cross Worlds DLC. If you watch the trailer that Sega released, there's a pose that Tangle hits, which is an exact reference to one of the cover arts from IDW. So, if you pause one of the frames from the DLC trailer, you'll see Tangle jumping up, kicking her foot out, and then having her tail extend backwards. This is not a coincidence. If you take a look at Sonic IDW issue 24 cover B, you'll see Tangle hitting the exact same pose. In addition to that, it's pretty cool that they also reference Sonic Advance sprite work, but this is where the pose originates from. Amy Rose's debut in the Sonic franchise was actually well before Sonic CD. The debut appearance of Amy Rose in the Sonic the Hedgehog video games was 1993's Sonic CD, and many people attribute this game to her first appearance in the franchise in general, but that isn't the case. The first appearance of Amy Rose in the Sonic the Hedgehog franchise is the 1992 Sonic mangas. These mangas debuted a year and a half before Sonic CD's release, which in turn makes Amy Rose one of the longest running characters in the franchise, and she even predates Tails. There's official Sonic Channel artwork that depicts a super Dr. Eggman. It's generally understood that the rule in the Sonic franchise is that only male hedgehogs have a super form, at least as far as the actual canon of the series goes. But that did not stop Sega in December of 2023 of creating Dr. Eggman going super and battling Super Sonic. Honestly, I wonder how powerful he truly is. There is an official Sonic Underground game. Sonic Underground is a pretty weird 1990s show which features Sonic and his two other siblings trying to find their mother. It also features a banger of a theme song, but what if I told you that there was a game for this TV show? LCD games were pretty popular back in the day, and Tiger Electronics in the year 2000 released this Sonic Underground video game. I think my favorite part about this game is that it features Sonic on the outside playing the guitar, and the buttons are inside of the guitar, but the gameplay was pretty simple. You had a spin dash button, a jump button, and you had to defeat robots and go side to side. These games were not really that complex, but nonetheless, this is a gem from back in the day. In tons of Sonic Channel artwork, there are hidden Big the Cat references. Over the years, it has become Sega tradition to hide Big the Cat in random places in Sonic games. You know, you really have to ask yourself how Big ends up finding himself in these type of situations. But Sonic Channel art is no different. What do you notice about this picture of Knuckles and Rouge on Halloween? Well, look in the corner, it's Big. Or this picture of Blaze the Cat in the Soul Dimension. Well, if you look above here, there's a portrait of Big. Or this picture of Shadow the Hedgehog. Can you find Big? Yeah, look a little bit closer at the moon and he is there, of course. Or take a look at this picture of Silver in Crisis City. Take a look at the magazine advertisement in the corner and you will see none other than our favorite cat. There were exclusive Sonic Adventure trading cards during the game's release. During the release window of Sonic Adventure, a bunch of trading cards were released exclusive to Japan. And it featured tons of different things such as the 2D illustrations done by Yui Kawa with the character bios. Not only did it feature 2D illustrations, it also featured 3D renders as well. It wasn't just the characters, there was also artwork for the boss battles that you encountered, with descriptions of what they were on the back. There were even trading cards for the chows that you can get in the Chow Garden. And there was even a puzzle.